Welcome to another electronic rendezvous. Yes, my hair is dripping. I just washed my hair. I'm actually getting ready to go out with a friend to see the Black Panther, but I really wanted to complete this rendezvous because I woke up with a message, and so I wanted to do the rendezvous today. So you're going to be with me as I get ready. And the topic of today's electronic rendezvous is I kind of agree with Quincy on creativity and copying, or copying and creativity. So let's get this done. All right, so you're in my bathroom. I'm doing my hair, and I must really care about you to be like publicly in the middle of my hair, but really just wanting to share this message. So the first thing that I wanted to start off was sharing with you the quote from a very long interview that Quincy Jones did with GQ magazine. And it just came into my attention, and I thought there was a really good takeaway from this whole thing. But I'm going to put below a very long decoding of the interview by a YouTuber by the name of Jedi, I think is his name. So it's not an endorsement of him or his channel. I don't know him, but this particular video had a lot of really good insights. So if you're really interested in the whole Quincy Jones interview, you can check that out. So the quote, I have lots of notes that I've made for this because this is a really important subject. So I'm going to try to be as clear and concise as possible. So this is what Quincy said in his interview on the topic. He was asked about how he felt, did he feel like jazz was still present in today's music? So he kind of went with that, went with the flow of answering that question. So within that answer, this is what he said. He said, I have never in my life made music for money or fame. God walks out of the room when you're thinking about money. So when he said God walks out of the room when you're thinking about money, that grabbed me. And so as I went to bed last night, I was just really, really meditating on that. And so this rendezvous is going to be about, I have like notes falling out of my journal. I'm going to be focusing on two things specifically, creativity and copying, because he definitely went into copying that topic. But I'm just really going to more so focus on creativity and that whole area. There's another quote that I'd like to share with you. And also, case in point, hold on for 1 second. I'm going to go get this book. Hold on. Okay. So, this is my book, Superwomen and Goddesses, Workin Your Power Magic. This is my personal copy. It's looking like a Bible. I'll post it up. But here's a quote that I absolutely adore. The value of a diamond is derived from the fact that it is distinguishable from all others. When you imitate another, you murder yourself. Thus dead are as powerless as the dead. And that quote comes from Gerry Spence in the book How to Win and Argue and Win Everything. So this is the book. I actually got this book in like 1995. And I remember the relationship I was in when I read that book. Anyway, so look in my bibliography. I actually give credit to Gerry Spence because I used his quote in my book, so I gave him credit. I hope you can see it. Am I lining it up properly so you can see it? So I think a lot of times, we'll get into the copying, but I think a lot of times, just to say this about it, I think a lot of times when people copy or use intellectual property of other people, they really have not been taught the proper way to cite their source and to give credit. I think a lot of people are just in a space of ignorance, not ignorance like as a insult, but just an innocence or an innocent ignorance, like you just don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. So those are the two really powerful quotes that I want to deal with.
So let's break down Quincy's quote. I have never in my life made music for money or fame. God walks out of the room when you're thinking about money. So to me, he's talking about two things. In the first sentence, I've never made money for music or fame, which means intention. What is your intention for creating? And the next sentence, God walks out of the room when you're thinking about money. So basically, he's talking about consciousness. And so intention and consciousness are two really, really important things when it comes to being creative. So at the beginning of the series, the very first rendezvous, I asked the question, are you a creator, maker, producer, or inventor? You are one, two, three, or all of those things. Because we were all created by the Most High Creator, we are two creators. So everything that we create is in co-creation with the universal energy of possibility. So that's first. We are all creators, because if you're not being who you really are, if we're not really being who we are, then we are in the process of ceasing to exist and in the process of degeneration. If you're not creating, you're really degenerating. So to create is actually it's almost to recreate and regenerate yourself, your life force. So I can say personally, I've had some very, very successful projects. I've already had a successful career, and I'm embarking on the second half of kind of a new career. And so I can say personally, getting into my career as a makeup artist, it's not something I planned on. There was a passion there for transforming, for working with colors, because I'm an artist. And I feel like it was destined, because I just kind of followed the domino effect. One thing led to the next, and that thing led to another thing. I had a short career as someone who did acting and modeling in commercials, and it wasn't something that I really ever dreamed of doing. It was more so I wrote a list and said I would like to earn residuals. And so like a year or two later, it all kind of fell together. Somebody said, hey, you look great. You know, my agency looks for people that look like you. And with very little effort, it just kind of, everything just kind of fell into my lap, and I was very successful for a short time. And then when I changed my hair into locks, I stopped booking, so then I stopped doing that. I can also say that I had this program called 9.5 Weeks, the METAMOORPHOSE Project, extremely, extremely successful project, which I'm going to continue. Season 6, we did 5 seasons, and that was another thing where I was inspired and really was in the intention of giving and sharing and just seeing a need that needed to be fulfilled. So that came. So there are some situations where I purely went into it with intending to make money. It didn't work. So as a makeup artist, you have agents that represent you, and they make 20% of your rate, and they also tack on 20% to the top. I'm sure it's done differently with because now we have more connecting. A lot of the middle people are being taken away, but at that time, they were pretty much getting what I would say probably 30% of my booking by taking 20% from me and then tacking 20% on top. It actually came out to 30% that they were getting on my job. And so I was kind of disgruntled with my booker, and I said, you know what, I would be a really good booker. I could open up my own agency. So that came not from really being inspired, that more came out of like, I could make a lot of money. So that actually kind of hurt my personal career, because then I took the eyes off of building my career and started trying to build the careers of other people. So that was definitely a flop, because the intention was wrong. And so just like Quincy said, if you're doing it for money or fame, it's like God walks out of the room. And so it's the same even with like social media or making YouTube videos or just creating anything. If you're doing it for fame or for likes or for, if you're doing it for that, if that is the intention, then it's not pure and inspired. And I would say that nothing can beat the divine call of the Most High, of that universal, that divine, that God vision, that God mind, that God heart, that God will. Nothing can beat that. So I'm going to talk today about how I get into that environment so that I can connect and be in the flow of divine creativity.
All right, so I'm making progress with my hair. Nice, right? Not quite done, but getting there. My friend's picking me up in an hour, so I've really got to finish this quickly. So the first part of this was speaking about creativity, getting to that space, creating the environment, really getting into the flow of receptivity so that you're whole, so you're listening with God vision, God mind, God heart. The second part of this is on the whole idea of imitating or copying other people. And then the last part of this will be some specific steps you can do to get into that flow. So again, reading from page 59 of my book or from Gerry Spence's book, the value of a diamond is derived from the fact that it's distinguishable from all others. When you imitate another, you murder yourself. Thus, dead are as powerless as the dead. That is such a powerful statement. So the other day at my pop-up, I was talking about my beauty rituals really being a gateway to create a mindful space so that you can actually tap into your creativity. Because when we don't tap into that creativity, we are losing out on an opportunity to hear about the divine mission and call on our lives. And so it becomes a disservice to yourself, to the people that will receive your gifts, talents and abilities and creativity and innovations and evolutions of things. It's a disservice to everyone to not discover your very unique voice, your very unique expression. When we imitate or copy others, we're Xing ourselves out. And we're all so much better than that. So I know I'm really annoyed by that quote. Good artists copy, great artists steal. So as someone who has been, has really dealt with this on a really personal level, being creative, I mean, there's a pro and a con to actually being creative and being open to that. The pros are that you have tons of ideas. The con is that sometimes you don't have enough life to fulfill on all of the ideas that you have. So, and also you can become distracted. It's like you start on one thing and then you drop that and start on another idea. So you can actually be all over the place when you are in that place of creativity. So I know that if you are a creator, if you're one of those people who has been able to tap in, who has been able to look at things freshly and innovate and evolve and expand on different ideas and create something that's never been thought of before, like the Steve Jobs of this world. I know that you relate to this. Like, a lot of people say there are no new ideas, and that's not true. Like, we can take the same, it's like music. You can take the same 12 notes and create an infinite amount of music. but like someone can sing a song the exact same way. It's still not going to be exactly the same, but there are so many possibilities with music. So I'm not one of those that believes there's nothing new under the sun. I don't believe that at all. And I know that when you've worked really hard to create something, you're not quick to criticize because you know what goes into actually creating something and presenting it to people. You know what it is to build and sacrifice and invest the blood, sweat, and tears to actually bring to manifest this vision. So, that is something to consider when you're talking about, when you're dismissing the idea of, oh, there's nothing new, like it's okay to copy and all that. And granted, when you are young or at a place where you haven't really discovered who you are, and that's one of the very first things that we are commanded to do by the ancient, is that to know thyself. So before you really know thyself, you may model yourself or copy some of those people that you're inspired by your teachers, by your mentors. And that will happen for a certain amount of time, but there comes a time that you've really got to discover your voice and your perspective and your vision, your story, your rhythm, your voice. And I remember, I'm an artist. So as a little girl, I would actually look at Walt Disney cartoons and I would look at the picture and draw the same thing. But that's where I was at that time. But, that's not something that I do now.
All right, we're getting there. Almost there. My friend's going to pick me up in 30 minutes. So now I'm going to tell you my notes, how I get into that space. And so I'd also love to know if you are really good at getting into your creative space and you're really creative. I'd like you to let the rest of the community know below what are the things that you do. But these are some of the things that I do that really get me tapped in. So one, it's important to get rest. I normally go to bed around generally between 10:30 and 11:30, and I normally wake up naturally without an alarm around anywhere between 4:30 and 6:30. Those are usually the times that I wake up. And normally I'm hearing things in the morning. So I'll take my voice memo on my phone and just record whatever it is, whatever inspiration or ideas or things that come through. And the twilight hours are especially important. It's the time of the day that it's darkest, and the pineal gland is concentrated with melanin. And you'll notice creative people are usually nocturnal. And I used to be nocturnal until I became a parent. So now, because I've been a parent, I have to be up during the day. So I've switched it so that I go to sleep early and I wake up during the twilight hours. So rest and then waking during the twilight hours. Also, I've noticed when I clean my house, things come through. I notice when I'm going on a walk, when I'm riding my bike, when I'm driving, and it's important too. It's usually when I'm driving and the music is not loud. It's either the music is not on at all or it's very low. And also, sometimes if I'm listening to music from the past, things from my childhood or teen years, sometimes it'll just bring back things. Maybe people I've been in relationships with, and it'll connect to this, and that. So that's another way. So those are the main ways that I get tapped in. And actually, after I wake in the twilight hours, I follow a ritual. So even if I may not come up with something as soon as I awake, through the course of that ritual of waking with something that smells wonderful, giving thanks, drinking water, doing breath exercises, and then stretching, things come through. So ritual is really important, having a laid out routine. And I can pretty much count on it. And it's important also not to go to sleep with the television on especially the news, anything negative. I would say if you need something to ease you into slumber, I've been known to listen to Native American flute music, or listening to Psalms or Proverbs, someone speaking that, or what else? Or just something that is inspiring, something that you would love to plant into your subconscious. So that's another really important thing, to make sure that whatever you go to sleep to is nourishing to your subconscious.
All right, I'm just quickly grabbing a little grub before I leave. But I was watching a couple of videos, one by Marie Forleo and one by Evan Carmichael. If you're not subscribed to them, I highly recommend that you subscribe to them. But they both actually spoke on how to deal with copycats, and they both actually came up with this idea of the difference between modeling someone, being inspired and modeling yourself or your career or whatever after them, and then there's copying, which is blatantly stealing. So modeling might be like, well, this person does this as part of their ritual, so, and it helps them do this, so you're going to do that same thing. Adopting a similar eating lifestyle, or, subscribing to some of the same magazines, going to some of the same places. But copying actually is just that. Like, you take the same words, like you'll maybe copy and paste, or you'll for instance, I had this one person that interviewed me, and she really admired my work and really sweet. And then somehow I was going to her site to just send someone to her site to read the article she'd written. And I noticed that I used to have this really, really obscure song on my site. And I noticed that she had the song on her site. Like, it wasn't there before. And then now she had the song on her site. So, of course, I wasn't being at my best. I sent her an email. I'm like, do you want my logo too? Like, okay, wasn't very graceful, but like at that point I dealt with it so much. So there's definitely a difference between modeling and copying. So being clear on that is really, really important. Almost done. My friend will be here in a few minutes. I'm just last finishing touches. Glow spirit. So to conclude, we live in a really fast-paced, digital, quick share, just consuming content so quickly, but we really have got to take the time to make sure to allow those links to remain intact. Meaning, in fact, there is a book by Marimba Ani called Let the Circle Be Unbroken. And you'll notice sometimes I hashtag Let the Circle Be Unbroken when I want to give attention to a mentor or someone that has, an elder or an ancestor, or I'll tag like someone younger doing something. It's just the whole idea of letting the circle be unbroken and continuing the generations, that it's like a math and a path that continues. So I've actually written this. And I'll just read it because it's exactly what I want to say. So if we are to grow and evolve as a divine souls, as a human family, as an African culture, as a sisterhood, we must make sure the links are unbroken, that we continue the best of the best work that those before us began, and give credit, so that people wanting more of that can explore those roots like you had the benefit of exploring, and be able to put it all together, now expanded and innovated. In this digital world, it's so easy to forget that, but we are all here to just create and express the same energy as that created us. So really get clear on if you are a creator, a maker, producer, or inventor. You need to be really clear on that and take advantage of some of the steps that I've shared. Look in the comments and see what other kind of steps people have shared, just so that we can really get into that creative flow, and just know that once we're in that flow, once we are fulfilling on the call that we've been given, the mission and the purpose of why we're here, we will be taken care of. So I know it's hard. I have troubles with it too, because sometimes it gets really close. It's like, are you gonna are things gonna work out? But we've got to just trust and know that we've always been taken care of. So the most important thing is just fulfilling and expressing that creativity, expressing those gifts, talents, and abilities, and all of the money and acknowledgement will come. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure that you talk to me below, and I promise to respond. And just thank you to all of you creators who are really doing great things. I'm going to continue. I think he's close. I'm going to continue to just share with you some of my mentors and my most successful friends, because this year, the year of wealth and homesteading, building homes and building wealth. Thank you so much.
Sweet dreams.